Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. If you're here for the first time, welcome. My name is Sarah. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. Today the video is a little bit different, so I do cover homemaking content, but part of that for me is actually weeding. So in our household, my husband kind of does the lawn care, so he mows weekly, but I'm the one who's in charge of the weeding for the most part. My husband is in charge of like more of the heavier brush clearing, tree branch cutting down, and if we need pavers moved or anything like that. However, I thought that this part of the yard fell to me because it was in this manicured, well, I'm using air quotes when I say manicured, that you can't see because it's voiceover, but in this manicured garden bed. So these are just all plants that the previous owners planted, and the weeding in here has kind of gotten away from me. In the fall, I noticed that there was some poison oak in this area, so I did go ahead and cut that down in the fall, but this still had a ton of thorny vines in here, and in the drainage just on the other side of this bed area, just beyond the bridge there that you can see, also had these really thorny vines in it. So I figured before we got too much farther into spring and they really took hold and were wrapping themselves around the other bushes and trees that I do want to keep in this area, it's way easier to trim this stuff before everything is fully leafed out. So I just need to go ahead and do that because you can see there's like little leaves on everything here. And we were getting a little late in the season to do this. So my kids and our neighborhood kids really like to come over and play outside, and we definitely encourage that. My husband and I love that. We want the kids to be outside rather than, inside puttering around. We can do inside stuff like watching movies and reading books or whatever when it's nighttime or if it's rainy or that sort of thing. So it is important to kind of keep these areas kid safe. There are a couple of plants that I have diligently been trying to remove, and they keep coming back every single year in here that are poisonous, and all parts of the plant are poisonous. So my mom and I have been digging them up. It's actually, they're very beautiful flowers when they bloom. They're called Lenten roses. But they're also very poisonous. Lenten roses are also known as hellebore, which if you know any sort of thing about herbal medicine or whatnot, you know that, hellebore can kill you if you ingest it. So I need to go and dig that up. Like I said, the kids don't actually play inside this bed, and they don't really mess with the stuff. The only thing they go towards is the little wind chime. So I have a little bit of time to get around to that, and I'm seeing if my mom wants me to dig it up and pot it so that she can go and put it in her yard. She has kind of like more woody in the country areas where she can put them and enjoy them without people kind of getting into them. But another reason why I'm doing this at this moment in time, other than just it's easier than later in the season, is that my husband has some vacation coming up, and he wants to clean out this drainage ditch. The way the previous owners did it was they have these massive rocks in this ditch, but they're not smooth rocks. They're very chunky, sharp rocks, and just everything gets caught on them. If you can see, the ground looks kind of yellowy brown. That's because we have a lot of pine trees, and there's pine straw everywhere in these kind of areas of the yard. And so all the pine straw gets built up in this drainage ditch. So he's planning on cleaning that out when he's on vacation in a couple weeks. So I also wanted to get kind of like the thorny vines and stuff out of there for him to just have an easier time doing that, because that's going to be a really big job anyway. Sorry if I'm saying a lot. I'm trying to think of what I have said and what I have not, because this is my second take doing this voiceover. Because unfortunately the gas company came by to check the meter. I think our gas company just changed ownership, so they're going around checking the gas meters. And Max, our dog, just went absolutely insane. So I'm a little bit scattered with what I have said and what I have not. All right, what was the other thing that I really wanted to talk about? Oh, okay. So I live in central North Carolina. And if you have never lived in North Carolina, or I know it happens in South Carolina too, I'm not sure what parts of Georgia might get this, or if it goes up to Virginia or not. But regionally, and specifically in the central region of North Carolina, most people have 4 seasons a year, right? And we do have 4 official seasons, right? We're not that special. We have spring, summer, fall, or for non-Americans, autumn, and winter. But there's this meme that's been traveling around for forever now that North Carolina actually has 12 or 13 seasons. And so the current season that we're in here is actually called the pollinating. And if you are from anywhere in the region that I mentioned before, you probably know what I'm talking about. But the pollinating happens in early spring. Sometimes it's even early enough to be technically late winter because of when spring officially starts. But late winter, so like early March to late March, is generally when the pollinating happens, right? And we've already had like fall spring and, then like second or third winter. And then, we get all sorts of weather here. This year it was really awesome. We got some snow even in the winter. But anyhow, we're currently in the pollinating, and the video is going to zoom back out here. Yeah. And I don't know if you can see how yellow the steps are. It doesn't pick up really well on camera, but there's kind of just this yellow haze everywhere. And you may have noticed I'm wearing a mask. That is not because I'm sick. That's because I'm trying to avoid inhaling all of the pollen that I am dusting up. My shoes are literally yellow after I walk through the yard. So as I'm doing this voiceover, we're still in the pollinating, but it did rain last night. So now you just see these little dried river edges of bright yellow pine pollen. But the oak pollen has also started. So the pollinating is just when all the tree pollen comes out and it just coats absolutely everything. You can see I park in the driveway with my car, and my car is white, and it has just been yellow, and now it was white when I went out this morning, except for, certain parts of the car that overhang. The areas underneath those were still bright yellow. But I had to go and pick up my glasses in the middle of the day today, and I went back out there, and even though the car had only been out for, I don't know, maybe like 6 hours after it stopped raining, it's just completely covered in yellow pollen again. So if this looks like there's a yellow tint or that there's a yellow haze in the air in this video, that's just the pollen. It was amazing walking outside this morning because the air looked so much more clear. And I am not at all exaggerating when I say when it is windy, when you have wind gusts during the pollinating season, you can actually see huge clouds of pollen puff off of trees. And it was not something that I ever could have imagined before moving here. And, I thought people were kind of like pulling my leg to a certain extent. But if you see videos online of pine pollen and just like the massive yellow clouds it produces in the North Carolina area, those are not made up. Those are not fake. That's not been photoshopped. That's what it actually is. But anyhow, we are finishing up here. I hope the little sharing about the pollinating was interesting to you or not. Hopefully you aren't suffering too bad with spring allergies if you're in an area where it is spring right now. I will say I no longer have to wear a mask outside because I have inhaled enough of it now where my body is like, oh, this actually won't physically kill you, so we're going to back off on the immune response. So that's nice for me that I don't have to wear a mask outside right now anymore. Because later this week, I think it's supposed to be almost 90 degrees out, and wearing a mask outside when it is that hot is pretty unpleasant. I do have some very satisfying before and after pictures for you at the end of this, because I feel like this was a little boring watching me do this. And since the progress was slower, you can't really, I feel like things with incremental slow progress, you need a before and after picture to see, oh, yes, something significant did actually happen. Now, you can't see it, but to the left of the camera view is a bunch of ivy that I need to take care of. English ivy looks picturesque, but it's also a pain to have it climbing up your trees and climbing through your fence and that sort of thing. So I do need to clear some of that stuff as well. But I had a really hard time putting these in our yard bins because it was just so thorny. Everything was catching on itself, and I didn't want to stomp it down with my foot and get all scratched up. So this is me trying to pick it up and then realizing that some of it's still attached. So I'm putting some of this over in an area that we have some other brush that my husband is going to cut up. But that is about going to do it for today's video. The next video I'll have more typical homemaking content, although this is, I mean, we're about to put in our garden soon in the next couple of weeks here, so I probably will document that. If you guys like the outdoor videos, let me know. That's me just kind of showing you what it was. But thank you for sticking with me through the video. Here's the before and the after. I appreciate it. If you liked this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.